Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield. Here. Knutson. Here. Kennedy.
Can you hear us, Mike?
Oh, he is trying to speak.
Brooke.
Here.
Hall.
He's trying to speak.
All right, first up, citizen comments. This is your opportunity to speak on any item, that issue before the city that is not currently on tonight's agenda. If you do have a comment, please come to the microphone at the podium, identify yourself, your address, try to keep your comments brief, and try not to repeat other people's comments. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Nate Homschild. I am the new commander of the Hudson VFW, and I just wanted to come and introduce myself and let you guys know what we've been up to for the last 9 months since I've been in command. So last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, the VFW had our state midwinter banquet, and we won an award. This is the Red Carpet Award. Our VFW has never won this before. So at the midpoint, we are number 2 in the state in recruiting, and we brought home the hardware for it. And overall, right now, we are number 1 in the state for our program. So when I took command, I told the state commander, look out, I'm going to put Hudson on the map.
That's awesome.
So we've taken in 32 new members this year so far. I'm not done yet. And we are 3rd in the nation in our division.
Nice.
We're not just sitting in the back anymore. We're not there to just carry the flags. This year we had $1,500 to give away to students through our Patriots Pen and Voice of Democracy. That's up 200% from previous years. We're back out in the community again. We're cleaning headstones at Old Willow River Cemetery. If you go up there, find the bright white ones. That's us. And in May, we're going to clean a whole lot more, because that is our service project for the VFW's National Day of Service.
Nice.
So I just wanted to introduce myself and then thank you for the idea. Because, I have been able to meet some of you, but now you get to see the face behind the name. So thank you, and it's nice to see everybody.
Excellent. Thank you for coming in, and congratulations. Mary Claire.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Mary Claire Olson-Potter, President of the Chamber, and I have just a couple updates for you tonight. It was a very busy holiday season in Hudson. We had over 1,600 people attend the 38th Annual Tour of Homes, filling the shops and restaurants for the weekend. And for some of those, they say it's their best sales weekend of the year. The over 50,000 lights in Lakefront Park brought so many locals and visitors down to the park, and then they shop and dine while they're here. And we appreciate the 41 sponsors that support this program and our continued partnership with Save a Tree. And we thank the city for your continued support.
Can you hear me?
In the middle of me, Mike? Do I keep going?
Hang on, Mike, if you can hear us. We got Mary Claire talking right now.
Hello.
Well, that was enthusiastic, Mr. Mike Kennedy.
We're just testing over here.
Sure. So keep going or
Keep
wait?
going.
Oh, can you hear us, Mike?
Oh. Really not.
Where'd that IT guy go?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mary Claire.
I'm going back to the over 50,000 lights in Lakefront Park, and that's what I'm going to go with. But we appreciate the continued support with the city, and we look forward to collaborating with you again this year. And thank you to the Public Works, the Fire Department, and the Police Department for all of their help with the tour of homes, light up night, candlelight stroll, and Santa and his critters. This Thursday, a contingency from the St. Croix Valley will go to Madison. If you want to join, we're leaving at 6 a.m. And we will meet with legislative leaders to discuss housing affordability, investments in education, child care access and affordability, healthcare funding, and Wisconsin's energy grid. And several of us from Hudson will be going next week to La Crosse for the Governor's Conference on Tourism. And March is lucky, okay, this
can
is
hear you
not my
outside.
night. What?
They can hear you outside now.
That's fabulous, because I'm going to talk about the March Lucky Clover program. So pick up your passport, go and support the local businesses during March, and you could win some great prizes. And finally, the Hudson Area Chamber Foundation, we're really excited this year. We're going to award 2 scholarships to 2 high school students that are going to further education in the trades. So we're excited to recognize those students moving on into those areas with the 2 scholarships this year. So, and Hudson, again, will be busy this summer with the hotels and so forth, being busy with events and weddings and so forth. And events continue, as you know, to grow the community as a great place to live, work, and do business and visit. So on behalf of the Hudson Chamber, thank you for your continued partnership, and I look forward to our work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike Kennedy.
Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Liz Malanafi, and I live in Hudson on 3rd Street. I'm just going to read this because it's way easier than trying to remember it all. So, a recent letter to the editor outlined a recurring issue at Croyview Apartments on 2nd Street. At the heart of this issue is that the bathrooms located near a common community gathering space are often locked on weekends, in the evening, and at other unpredictable times. I walk by Croyview nearly daily, so I stopped to talk to some folks in the outdoor gathering space in front of the apartments just after the letter was published. I wanted to get their perspectives on the situation. Eager to talk, they gave many examples of how this inconvenienced their community, especially touching on the fact that residents with special considerations have a difficult time making it back to their own space when a bathroom break is needed. I can relate. Sometimes I can barely make it to the closest bathroom at my house when I'm enjoying myself and laughing. I'm getting older. I believe Croyview is considered HUD or public housing and is one of the few affordable housing options in Hudson. Our city website has a page listing the members of the Hudson Housing Association, which meets at Croyview monthly, but no contact information is available for that board. It is my understanding that the landlord is typically at these monthly HHA meetings as well, but that the residents are not allowed to speak on issues at the time of the meeting. There are many layers to this. These include, but are not limited to, a power dynamic involving management, rental options or lack thereof for the residents, physical and mental health accommodations, custodial staff, and the importance and value of their work, and the role of the city in all of this. In addition, Act 317 and Act 243, codified in our state legislation, dramatically favor landlords' rights over residents. These factors contribute to the growing frustration. Above all, this is a human dignity issue for everyone involved. It might be helpful to convene stakeholders in a community conversation, facilitated carefully so power dynamics do not prevent necessary input from everyone. If the city can be helpful in organizing this effort, it should be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the agenda. Public hearings, are we good on Zoom?
Yes, it looks like everything is working.
Okay. Public hearing for Resolution 02-25 to partially discontinue a portion of undeveloped public alleyway running from Cole Street to Pitt Street, generally located between 10th Street and 11th Street, Pat Casanova. This is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to comment on this issue. If you have any comments, once again, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself, your address. Try to keep your remarks brief. Try not to repeat other people's comments. And we have how many on?
3 plus 1 with
Okay,
Kennedy.
so if the people that are on Zoom are there to discuss this issue, you can electronically raise your hand. You will be identified, and recognized, and you'll be able to make your comments. So, does anybody have a comment? Any comment? Anybody on Zoom?
Yep, I'm looking now. I don't see anybody raising their hands, no.
All right. Any comment? Any comment?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any comment? Motion and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing is closed. Resolution 02-25 to partially discontinue a portion of undeveloped public alleyway running from Cole Street to Pitt Street, generally located between 10th Street and 11th Street. Pat Casanova.
This is unanimous out of Plan Commission, I believe, so
Yeah.
it's just a vacation that we will not be using any part of that as a city property going forward.
Right.
So I will, are we suspending rules on resolutions?
No.
I move the resolution 2-25.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the resolution. Any discussion?
I have a question on just the whole concept, kind of perhaps legal, could be answered by our city attorney or the community development staff, about, I know we got signatures, or there were signatures provided by adjacent property owners. And is this only, is the property that is being suggested that we quit or discontinue, whatever that portion, is that only the portion that's directly behind Mr. Casanova's property, or is it the whole stretch, that whole alleyway, I guess is the term that's being used? 'Cause I don't understand.
There's
that.
there's an exhibit that's part of your
Yes,
packet.
yep,
And it goes about 2/3 of the way from south to north. It does not include the final third, it looks,
okay.
under that exhibit.
So my next question is, we aren't selling it, we're just handing it over? Sometime, I mean, I'm getting a little confused, I do apologize, because we have a similar, and there, I'm looking at the verbiage that our professional staff has provided, but that we're discontinuing it. There has been some verbiage, and it might be on the other property, about returning to. Was this land actually part of the Casanova parcel originally, and we took a right-of-way of it? Or I just don't understand the mechanics of that, and I apologize, it didn't get my questions answered ahead of time. I did intend to speak to the community development staff about it, and there he is. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I'll let Nick get into the technicalities, but first and foremost, these are existing right-of-ways. It's an alleyway when that block was platted originally,
Way back in the day.
way, way, way back in the day, yes. So that was platted as right-of-way for an alleyway, which never came to fruition, right?
Sure.
The city doesn't have a use for it. The one difference, one very unique difference between us as a municipality and the state is the state gets to sell right-of-way
Okay.
and property.
Okay.
We can sell property, but we cannot sell right-of-way. The process we have to go through is what we're going through right now, is a discontinuance. And, you know, with both of these items, they aren't lots specifically, they are dedicated as right-of-way. You know, when we look at it as professional staff, we look at it as, okay, in the future, do we have a use for this in terms of a utility corridor, a bike path, something like that, you know? In this case, there's so much topography and such a long history of, there's no utilities running through it, things like that. We have to make the property available to, half of it goes to one property owner, being Mr. Casanova, and then the adjoining properties on the other side, is how that works.
So those properties are each acquired?
They are then
some.
acquire.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Casanova isn't acquiring the neighbor's part of that easement or?
He may
right-of-way.
in the future, you know, but that would be a,
They would have to purchase it from them.
correct.
Well, thank you for clarifying that about the right-of-way. Certainly something I didn't understand.
Nick,
In
do
a
you have
way,
anything to
if
add?
I could describe it, it's almost the opposite of eminent domain. Instead of us demanding and taking something, which we are not allowed to do.
I try
as
to
a-
avoid the word takings, because
Right.
that's a problem,
Right.
but yes.
I mean, in other words, they've petitioned, they've asked, they have certainly a valid use for it, and I think it's nice to have some other single-family homes coming along in Hudson. We have a lot of multifamily, so, that are being developed, and that's a great neighborhood. So I don't object to the project, but I'm just trying to understand the concepts and the procedures of it, and your comment about that we can't sell it. So by their proper requesting, we can,
Discontinue.
and does that mean it becomes part of their deed? Are we deeding it over? Is that a phrase that,
So there's a resolution
Okay.
that gets recorded against the property. So if you think about a dedication, a plat is kind of an overlay. You have the underlying parcels, and then when they come through and they plat, then this dedicated area effectively becomes the city's responsibility or opportunity to use for utilities or access or whatever it is. And so the petition requests and identifies the fact that there's really no public need. That's where the staff took a look at it and said, yeah, there's no public need. So functionally, there's a resolution that gets adopted. It'll get recorded against the property, and then that will act to give back, if you will, or relinquish the city's rights in that dedicated area.
thank you.
Yep.
I think that answers my question. Did I muddy the water by my
No,
wording?
no, I think it's helpful
I
for this
apologize.
one and the, what, 2 coming up, or 1 more coming up here?
Yes.
Yes,
And
yep,
and since I've been on the council, we did have another one.
Yep.
I think it was the Wilcox property
yeah.
that we relinquished, or whatever the proper term is. So I don't mean to muddy the water by the terminology I'm using, but I was just trying to understand the concept of it. And, right, I do appreciate there's no utilities there, et cetera, and we don't envision a use at this time. And they do have a plan for further development, which hopefully will actually increase tax base, et cetera, in our community. So that's why it's helpful.
Yeah, and as a general practice, we don't relinquish city rights normally unless there's absolutely no future use that we could make. So city takes a hard look to say, you know, could we have a utility need in the future? Could we have an access need in the future? We just want to make sure, because once we discontinue public right-of-way,
Right.
we can't get it back without a new grant from a property owner.
Sure.
Right.
Thank you for taking the time to explain it to me. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody good?
I'm good. Mike, I just want to, can I test Mike real quick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
can.
We've got it figured out.
Mike.
Thank you.
You okay with that, Mary Claire? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing for rezoning petition, ordinance 4-25, from AR agricultural residential to R2 two-family residential with a comprehensive plan amendment from rural residential to single and two-family residential at 515 Stage Line Road at Center Crossing, Twin Cities Land Development LLC. This is a public hearing again, so once again, if you do have a comment, please come forward, step up to the podium and the mic, identify yourself, and give your address. If you do have a comment, please try to keep them brief. Try not to repeat other people's comments. And I believe we probably still have people that are on Zoom.
Yep, we do.
And again, to the people on Zoom, if you do want to participate in this public hearing, please, you can raise your hand electronically, and we will get to you. So, does anybody have a comment? Any comment? Any comment? Any comment? Nothing on Zoom?
Nope.
Okay.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing is closed. Rezoning petition, ordinance 4-25, from AR agricultural residential to R2, two-family residential with a comprehensive plan amendment from rural residential to single and two-family residential at 515 Stage Line Road at the Cantor Crossing. I think I said center before last time. Pardon me. Twin Cities Land Development LLC.
Yep, so thank you again. This one's a little different. As the council will remember, when we do annex property, it comes in at the nearest zoning designation that the town that it currently exists in. which generally is our ag reserve district. So approximately, 5 years ago now, the city did annex the Foster property. It was an older horse farm. And the developer is now wanting to move forward with some twin home development concepts to go through kind of development review process to enable that. Obviously, ag reserve in our zoning code and in our comp plan doesn't work. So you have to go to a single family resident, single and two family land use and single and two family zoning. So that's what's in front of the council today. Plan Commission did recommend unanimously that this does move forward to the next step. You can see the notes from the neighborhood meeting that was held, and I think we're making good progress. There are some things that have to be worked out with utilities and ensuring that there is minimal impact on the existing Heritage Greens neighborhood. So that's where that one's at.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules. Roll call?
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Ruck?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Motion's approved, rules are suspended.
Move to adopt ordinance 4-25.
Second.
Motion is second to adopt. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you done?
No.
Well, after the public hearing, I'll do that.
Okay. Public hearing for resolution 01-25 to partially discontinue a portion of undeveloped public right-of-way for 3rd Street and undeveloped alleyway generally located north of Pine Street. Elizabeth Schlomka and Jack Moore, Abigail Ritchie. All right, once again, we have a public hearing. And if you have a comment, please come forward to the podium, identify yourself, give your address, try to keep your comments brief, try not to repeat other people's comments. Does anybody have a comment? Yes, sir.
Yes, I would like to speak. My name is Jan Bodway. I am a property owner and have owned property down on the far north end of 3rd Street since 2016. My wife, Deb, over here, waving, decided to invest a considerable amount, and we built our home in 2017. Again, we live at 1425 3rd Street. We look directly at the white wall and the parcel of land behind that white wall that is up for discussion this evening for the vacation of the right-of-way for that, and I believe also for a portion of the alleyway north of Pine Street, directly to the east of that parcel as well, on the east side of 303 Pine Street. A couple weeks ago, probably longer, maybe 3 weeks ago, most people on our block received the city notification relative to the resolution to vacate, discontinue a portion of the right-of-way on 3rd Street and a portion of the alley north of Pine Street. This verbiage, I'm not going to go through it, but the key highlights that stuck out to myself is that it has proceeded quite a ways, it had appeared, and it is determined that the public good will be served and that the public interest, requires discontinuing the portion of the undeveloped 3rd Street located north of Pine, and then likewise, similar wording for the alleyway as well. Well, looking at that, and I might include that this parcel of land includes not just the land behind that white wall. It's been surveyed. It does include the white wall and a portion of 3rd Street in front of that white wall as well. So what's being proposed here is to vacate that right-of-way and, from a layman's understanding, give that land away to the two petitioners, the adjacent property owners, Elizabeth Schlomka, Jack Moore, and Abby Ritchie as well. So I really struggle, I guess, in understanding what the public good and how this is in the public interest. So being proactive and a member of the community, I've gone up and I've talked to many of my neighbors up and down 3rd Street, up and down 4th Street, on Pine Street, on River, on Division. And I've put together a list of support to the position that would object to the vacation of this right-of-way to the 2 petitioners involved. And I have submitted that. Perhaps you've seen it, but I'm just going to take a moment and read it very carefully for everyone's benefit and everyone that might be zooming in. I'm not certain. So with that, we, the undersigned, object to the proposed vacation of the right-of-way at the north end of 3rd Street in Hudson, Wisconsin. This is the lot behind the white wall at the end of the street. And as I had mentioned, it includes the white wall as well in a portion of the concrete street in front of the white wall. So the city would be walking away from that. Discontinuing the right-of-way is not in the public's interest. The only parties benefiting from this action are the petitioners on each side of the property, Elizabeth Schlumka, Jim Moore, and Abigail Ritchie. Additionally, 3rd Street is an iconic street here in town. It's a street with many beautiful homes. It's a popular place for people and their dogs to take walks. People usually head north to the end, enjoy a view of Lake Malibu. It's a very used street. We're at the very end, and we observe that all the time. This land should remain accessible for the general public's enjoyment. The city does not incur any costs as no associated maintenance expenses exist. This parcel could be further enhanced with the addition of a bench or a picnic table for even more enjoyment of the lake. Some parties would gladly contribute to these at no cost to the city. I realize that could potentially require another motion and city approval. I'm not certain, but I'll put that out there. We request that this piece of land continue to be city-owned. It is enjoyed by many residents and should not be given away. This is not in the public's interest. So I wanted to express that opinion, and backed up by over 50 signatures of the local community, that this is not in the public interest and is only in the interest of Elizabeth Schlumka and Jack and Abby. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time and audience. I know there are others here that would like to express opinions as well. So,
All right, thanks. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name's Jerry Trusselt. I live with my husband at 1421 3rd Street. We've been here for 33 years. Our house is right next door to Mr. Bodway's house. We also enjoy the city lot and actually have a view of the lake from our house. We definitely oppose the vacation and discontinuance of the city lot. One of the big things that caught my eye, and I think Mr. Bodway may have mentioned this, but we got 27 days notice of this. We got the first notice of this on February 4th, when the city sent out the letter and the map and the proposed resolution. This is the first we had heard of this. This is going to affect a lot of people. I'm not going to repeat some of the things. I agree with everything Mr. Bodway said. The big thing is the white wall and the setback, or how far it's set back from the curb. And it's obvious from the map that it is going to become part of the new property owner's property. It provides a safe turnaround at the end of our street right now. If that's not there, people will have to either go to the left or to the right on Pine Street. And Pine Street is a dead end on both ends. So then that requires those who miss the no outlet sign at the end of our block will have to turn around in the middle of the road somewhere, or they're going to be going through our alleys. There's an alley on either side of our homes on 3rd Street. That affects 19 homes if we have all this extra traffic going through the alleys and turning around at the end of Pine Street or on Pine Street. If the white wall comes down, if the property owners decide to take the white wall down, a curb will have to go up there, and who will pay for that? Like I said, we've been here for 33 years. Lots of homeowners come and go, but the constant on our end of the street is that empty lot, and we have a great lake view with that lot there. We would lose that if the new homeowners decide to do something else with that. We don't know what their plans are. There's no guarantees. We haven't been told that there's any restrictions or anything that could possibly be done there. So the biggest significance of that spot, though, is it's historical. It used to connect Hudson to North Hudson with a bridge that went over the lake and over the tracks. That goes back to the late 1890s. I think, or my husband and I believe, that a plaque on the white wall that says the significance of that spot would make more sense and leave that lot the way it is than to vacate it and potentially have something built there that, that's what you see when you drive down to the end of 3rd Street. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Schlemka, and I'm the property owner at 303 Pine Street. For over 60 years, 303 Pine Street has maintained that city lot. So Dick Johansson did it for over 50 years. I've done it for 6 summers now. But I bought 303 Pine Street in 2019 and set money aside to renovate the house and the garage, because the house is in terrible shape and the garage actually sits on the railroad right away. So I want to remedy that. And the only way my neighbors could have a view of between Mr. Bodway and the water, there's 5 properties that he's looking through. And the only way he can possibly have a view of the water is if he's going on to 3 of those properties without permission of the owner and cutting down trees and shrubs. So, but I bought the property, set money aside, have the money to renovate. The railroad took 40% of the lot when it went through in 1871, so it left me with 0.14 acres. So if I get these discontinuances, it will give me like 0.2 acres, not the original 0.23, but it will help me to be able to renovate and remodel and get that garage off the railroad right away. So that's what I plan to do with it. I bought it, set money aside, and want to renovate the property.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Paul Mahler. I'm an attorney with Baki Norman, and I represent Elizabeth, Jack and Abigail are all, they're in the back as well. And just to clear up a couple things here. First, this is right away. This is not city parkland. Second, the adjacent homeowners have been maintaining this at no cost to the city for years and years and years. There's no utilities that go through there. This idea about the concrete wall, as you can see in the resolution, has been addressed. And that wall will stay there, and the city staff, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, but the city staff agrees that at such time when the road's improved, that wall will come out. Technically, yes, it's right over the line. That has been addressed in the resolution, giving the city the right to remove that wall when they do the street improvements, and that's my understanding of the plan. Now, the other neighbors are brand new to the neighborhood. They just bought the land a few months ago, and I learned tonight that they just got married on the porch of their new house. And they are excited to be residents of the neighborhood and are looking forward to that extra property and maintaining it and improving it and putting it back on the tax rolls, which is what is done with excess right-of-way. You've done this in the past, and this piece is no different. It's not going to be developed as a road, anything else. Plan Commission voted unanimously to approve this. Staff has supported it, and we ask that you also support it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Abby Ritchie. I live at 227 Pine with my husband, Jack Moore. And like they had said earlier, we just moved in kind of before we knew all of what was going on with the land next to our house. But that being said, people brought up a lot of concerns about what we're doing with that property. And I would love the opportunity to grow garden beds, flowers, and vegetables, and just kind of maintain that space as a really pretty area to probably still hopefully see the lake through. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is William Rosenberger. I live on 1416 3rd Street, second house to the end. I just wanted to say we've been here for 26 years. Several years ago, my wife worked with the city council to have that no exit sign put up at the end of our block because cars would come down in masses. I mean, 3rd Street's iconic. People come in from Minnesota, they come in from all over. They look at the old houses and the beautiful neighborhoods, and they would just turn left or right and they come back down the alley. So we had all this traffic coming down behind our house. And it became kind of a safety concern for us. So we got a sign put up, said no exit. For the most part, people come down the street, they make that turn right there, and they come right back up 3rd Street. My concern with the alley is we're right on it. My garage, I pull out of my garage right onto the alley with zero visibility. We also have our driveway there where our kids play, and there are other kids that play in that area as well. So I haven't seen anybody talk about the concerns of the security and safety of those kids. At the end of that alley, there's an active sidewalk that the children from the local schools here on 4th Street use to walk home. I don't know how those are going to be addressed because the alley is not a thoroughfare. It's just basically, access to our homes from behind. You're turning it into a thoroughfare without a suitable solution to leave that wall or put in something else that people can turn around on 3rd Street and exit without using our alleys. So, sorry, I was repeating the white wall concern here, but it was more of a safety concern than an aesthetic concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name's Deb Bodway. I live at 1425 3rd Street. Just one point I want to bring up on, again, we've owned the property and then we built a house since 2016. And what we don't know is what in the future could happen to that city land if it's given away, because once it's given away, we never get it back. Since we've lived, since we've owned our property since 2016, both adjacent properties to this city lot have each changed hands 3 times just since 2016. So, I mean, Elizabeth and Jack and Abby, maybe their plan is beautiful gardens for that property, but we see how properties turn over on our street. And what's to say that, let's say, Elizabeth sells and then somebody buys the property, a new homeowner buys from somebody else, and now they have a bigger piece of land that maybe they're going to put in a garage or a shed or something like that right at the end of 3rd Street. So those are just the comments that I make. And people love walking down 3rd Street with their dogs, with their grandkids, with their kids, standing at the white wall. We have birding groups. I've seen large birding groups, birding clubs come walk historic 3rd Street, stand at the end of 3rd Street, and just take it all in. So we would really hate to see this property for the city to give up such a beautiful piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, come on back.
One question I'd like to pose to the council. When we did receive your notification 2-3 weeks ago, it really emphasized the phrase, "in public interest, the public good will be served," and the public interest requires. And I'd really like to understand that a little bit more, maybe from a legal point of view, or was this a consensus from the city council that vacating this right-of-way is in the public interest? Really, the only interest it is in the favor of is for Elizabeth, Jack, and Abby. How does their interest override 50 other signatures that are opposed to it? The only thing that I can really think of, honestly, is the additional value of that 33 feet of land going to each of the property owners. Hence, it's a more valuable property. You can get a higher tax assessment on that. But I take the taxes and the mill rate that Elizabeth is paying and apply it to the 4,166 square feet of the entire parcel. And it works out, it's laughable what the additional tax revenue would be for the city. It's under $100. So where is the public interest as opposed to the interest of over 50 people? Can anyone speak to that?
Did you want to comment? It's a public hearing. You can respond if you'd like.
So I was hoping that maybe perhaps, Nick, you could just walk through the general process, because there seems to be some other people that were kind of wondering about the notice and how that works, just to answer some of those questions for these neighbors.
Yeah, just to clarify, that decision hasn't been made. That's the legal threshold that this council has to find is established in order to grant the discontinuance request. And so the reason you got notice was so that you could come and participate tonight. That's a requirement of this process. You all received notice. You're here. You're able to make your comments. This council will determine whether it is in the public interest to discontinue or in granting the petition, or that it's not in the public interest, and in which case the council would vote to not approve the petition. And so that's the whole issue, and that will be the discussion that the council will have once the public hearing closes.
Okay. I appreciate the explanation and the opportunity to express our opinions, and likewise for my neighbors and community as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
All we're really looking to do is to maintain what we currently have and enjoy, and what the city enjoys. That is it. Again, thank you.
We do have one online that has raised their hand.
Okay. All right, so we've got somebody on Zoom that's raised their hand. If you could identify yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Sherry Rosenberger. I am the wife of Rusty Rosenberger, who already spoke. I am in Washington State right now. That is why I am not down there in person, but otherwise I would be. I appreciate what everyone has said and commented on. Here's just some of my personal reflections on what may happen. We've lived there for 26 years. Our children were little when we moved in. They're all grown up and having babies of their own. And we remember many times the white wall it's like a historic. Remember the white wall? Everyone meets at the white wall. Beyond the white wall, we used to go and stand and watch the fireworks from Stillwater during the 4th of July. We could see Lake Malibu from there. It was the only piece of property we could look at the lake. Besides the second floor of our house, we can see Lake Malibu. Very beautiful area. Again, I go with my husband and other neighbors about the turnaround at the White Wall. I was the one that back 20 years ago, with our dear friend, beloved former city councilman, Scott O'Malley, I asked him to present the no outlet on the corner of 3rd and Division, because we had so many issues with houses at the end at that time that would come down and use our alleys they'd get frustrated. They'd get to the white wall and they'd go, how am I gonna get out of here? So they would go left or right and use our alleys and race down our alleys. When we had small children playing out in our driveways, it was very frustrating. So Scott O'Malley had that no outlet sign put up, and then the dead end signs at both ends of Pine Street. The other thing that frustrates me a little bit is the lack of our boulevard trees on 3rd Street. We have lost all of our boulevard trees. And because of storms or the emerald, whatever, bug. And the city has said they're not going to replace our trees, but yet they're willing to give this property to these 2 residents, but not do anything for us. And what are we getting out of this without any trees on our boulevard anymore? But they are gaining property to their benefit. It just makes me very sad. I'm sad about this whole situation, and I'm hoping that we keep the white wall as a turnaround so people go back south on 3rd Street instead of using our alleys, and we get some reciprocation from the city to replace our trees. As everyone knows, 3rd Street is the largest, widest street in 3rd with the most beautiful arches of trees over our street, which right now there are no more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify one thing? There's been a lot of talk about the turnaround and the white wall. So if you look at what's actually being vacated, the turnaround is not. That's not going anywhere. That's still right away. Even after this is done, that's still going to be right away. The city can decide whether they want to keep that little circle of pavement or they can remove it. But that has nothing to do with the land that's being proposed to be vacated tonight.
Thanks.
On the survey, the white wall was on the inside.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you want to have interaction, you need to come up here and ask your, yes, ma'am.
That was my point. A survey has been done, the stakes are there. So if the stakes are wrong, the stakes go so that the white wall would now be on private property if it goes to the other property owners. The survey stakes on the outside, so maybe there needs to be clarification there. There is a stake right in the middle of the white wall because that's the only place you could put it. But it shows that the actual city land would come out to the south. Now, I had stopped at the city and I asked, maybe again it was wrong information, does the white wall go to the new property owners if the land is given away? And the answer was yes. It would go with the property because it falls within the surveyed portion. So maybe we need some clarification there is all. Thank you.
Thanks. Paul?
And the white wall and the location of the white wall was known, and we worked with staff to address that. There's language specifically in the resolution about the white wall that it's going to stay until whenever the city decides that they want to remove it as part of a road improvement project. So I don't want misinformation to be out there on this. The paved area and the white wall, and I think the survey's in the packet, and you can all take a look at it if you'd like, to show that turnaround, whatever, that's not going away unless the city wants it to go away. If they want to put in a sidewalk and continue that and improve the road, that's fine. That's all on city right away.
Oh, just a question on the survey. The survey shows Pine Street at a 66-foot wide area, but it does, when I look at the aerial just on Google Maps, it shows that turnaround leading up to the white wall.
Yeah.
When I look at the survey, it's not apparent as to where that 66-foot right-of-way ends on the north side.
Yeah.
And I presume some of the confusion, just when looking at the survey, is that it doesn't show the hard surface, the roadway, and whether there's going to be that bit of a round, a bit of a cul-de-sac or rounded area, circular area to the north.
And you can sort of tell if you look at the GIS where that line is. It's not perfect, but essentially the survey line goes in the front of that wall. So it's pavement and everything is going to, that's up to you guys, what you want to do with that.
So effectively, just if the council is looking at a GIS or an aerial of any kind, or if you have a mental picture of what's out there, the property line or the right-of-way looks to be just kind of on the north side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's,
And I don't know what the distance is without measuring it, but the part of the turn, or what would be the circular turning radius, would remain. The white wall clearly would be on the property to be discontinued.
Yeah.
So just so that there's no question, the turnaround area would still be there, but the white wall would ultimately be on the property that gets discontinued.
and that was a discussion we had, what happens with the white wall? And the response from city staff, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, was that, there's no need for the white wall. It'll stay, and then the city can decide whether they want to remove it when they do a road improvement project 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whenever that happens. So, and I guess I'm a little concerned about people's property rights too when they talk about view corridors and things. Well, you really don't have a right to a view corridor over someone else's land. And I think some of these people may be using the existing lots right now and thinking they have rights to that, but I don't want to open up a can of worms there. I just wanted to mention it. And hopefully we put to bed the idea of the turnaround.
Hi, I'm Jack Moore. I live at 227 Pine Street with my wife, Abby. Sorry, I'm a little tired. We got back from Hawaii yesterday, but I just want to introduce myself and say that we are probably not going to be transient residents of that house. We are very much in love with it. We're going to try to have a family there. And whether or not this wall is included, if it was or was not, we wouldn't be doing anything to the wall. We would, we just want to plant some gardens there. So who wouldn't want an extra little bit of land to make beautiful, and people can continue to look at it at the end of their walks with their dogs. So it's nice to meet y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, neighbors. Elizabeth, Jack, Abby, welcome to the neighborhood. I live down there too. And I think what I'm struck by is how much everybody loves, that end of the street. My kids loved going to the White Wall to see the trains. And I think what I'm hearing that's really striking to me is this seems like an incredibly arbitrary and ambiguous process of giving land to people who petition for it, ask for the resolution. And I'm curious, since there are two of these on the agenda tonight, if there's been any mapping done of the city to see how many of these other properties exist where people can come and say, this land is here and nobody's using it and there's no utilities, and can I have it? I think that's, to me, that kind of speaks to a larger issue that maybe we should talk about before we start talking about these singular issues, because it seems like for 6 people and 7 people to make this decision and have this possibly set a precedent that just kind of could run throughout the city is maybe something you want to look at before you do it. So I don't know enough about the issue, but that's the most striking thing to me. And I love all my neighbors, and we love our neighborhood. But I think that's something we need to maybe think about. So maybe you could speak to that too.
Okay, thanks, Liz. We've got somebody on Zoom back again. If you'd like to comment. you hear me?
Hello, it's Sherry Rosenberger again at 1416 3rd Street. I just wanted to say, if the white wall were to disappear and that part of the street or curb were to be brought forward, if anyone looks at the white wall, the sign that is there right now has a double arrowhead, meaning you can go left or right. If you go left or right, you come up to a dead end sign, which is, to me, silly, because why is the double arrowhead sign there now? Right now, there should be a dead end sign there, and the one that says no outlet on 3rd and Division should also say dead end, to discourage anyone going down to that end of the street. I've always wondered about the double arrow, turn left, turn right, but yet you turn left or turn right and you're met with a dead end street. So just saying, I think that needs to be looked at by the city as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Just one last question, I guess, to the.
Step up to the mic, please.
I'm sorry. One last question from myself to the petitioners for this vacation of right-of-way. So we've all been in the neighborhood, the homes have been informed of this. What about Union Pacific? What was their response, and were they also informed, and does that come into play at all? Paul?
Up to the mic, please, Paul.
Well, I personally sent correspondence to Union Pacific, and as typical for a railroad, there was no response.
Okay.
One last comment. A comment was made earlier that for my viewage of the lake, I've had to look across multiple properties and possibly trespassed 5 properties? Trespassed on those properties. I will assure you that I have had permission to be on those properties from Union Pacific in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else on Zoom?
Hi, my name is Russell Lake. I live at, my wife and my daughter and I live at 1308 3rd Street. I feel really blindsided by this issue because I just found out about it very recently. I have walked down, so my wife and I have had this house, or our family's had this house since 2013, and I've walked down this, down 3rd Street. I'm about a block and a half away from the wall. Walked down and hit that wall so many times, and many times felt tempted to, I just wish I could move behind this wall, get a little closer view of Lake Malibu. But I've always resisted, obviously, because I thought it was private property. And it's not, to find out it's not private property and actually owned by the city and by the public is made me feel really great. But then I heard about this situation and that it has some contention around it. But I guess all I'd really like to say is that I'd like to go beyond the wall, and I know a lot of other people would like to do that as well, and or at least have the right to do that, and maintain the historic integrity of the city's position and the public's position in this property. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing is closed. Resolution 01-25 to partially discontinue a portion of undeveloped public right-of-way for 3rd Street and undeveloped alleyway generally located north of Pine Street. Elizabeth Schlomka and Jack Moore, Abigail Ritchie.
Well, this was really good process and public process, and this is why we have public hearings, to determine whether or not something is in the public's interest. From a functional standpoint, the city does, like the last one, does not have an interest in the property in terms of utilities or, long-term, bike ped or other maintenance type things. This is a very clearly defined statutory process that we go through. I can certainly understand why there is concerns about timing and, how quickly it feels. That's certainly heard and understood. But, we follow that specific statutory process to arrive at this point where we get to hear from the public, and the council gets to make a determination on whether or not it is truly in the public's best interest. So I think we're all pretty familiar with the property at this point. So with that, I can entertain any questions.
Mike, what was the purpose originally for the right-of-way?
Roadway could have been, this is
Do we know?
forever ago, right? No,
We don't know.
no, it's 66 foot wide, so assumedly, most of our roadway would be roadway.
Oh,
But then once you get past or go over the tracks, then you have a whole nother,
okay, one of the people during the public hearing said that there was a bridge there across to Lake Malibu.
okay,
Third Street went over the tracks at one point in time.
okay.
Okay, and that was the purpose of the right-of-way, was to accommodate the bridge. The bridge is gone, right?
Yep, so when 35 came through,
So clearly, this is a process that we've gone through before.
yep, not frequently, it's just weird that two come at the same time.
Yeah, I know that we've seen several of these, maybe more than several since I've been here. And generally, what do we do with rights of way that are no longer needed?
Not a whole lot, unless there's some utility then it'd be needed, right? So generally, they just kind of go, our public works department will maintain what they need to maintain, but other than that, nothing.
Yeah, Joy. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a question for you. I appreciate that we were provided the survey map of a limited area. I went on the St. Croix County website, their GIS program, to look a little more at the neighborhood. It is, it's a satellite image or some sort of aerial view. Ironically, it looks like there is a car turning around by the white wall when this image is captured. So who knows? It's like, how Google cameras go through and capture neighborhoods. There's a car in a funny position. It may have been turning around. But what came to my attention is that there's another lot that is the city right away a little further west. It is behind the home at 201 Pine Street.
Okay.
And I think while we don't know exactly, we may not have an immediate vision in the next 5 or 10 years, but the fact that it's abutting the railroad track, it may seem unimaginable to us that railway would ever be abandoned, but it could be. And access to, I'm sure a number of people present here are aware of or maybe have ridden bikes, et cetera. We've got a great rail-to-trail system in the state of Wisconsin where abandoned railroad tracks were used as trails and an access point. And the fact that the city of Hudson owns direct access there for one potential recreation in the future, I do see that as a possibility. And again, there is a second lot. The parcel is 236, my eyes, 015800000 is the parcel. And it would be pretty landlocked. There's a smaller alleyway that goes towards, that runs north and south there. They're directly behind a resident's home. I'm not suggesting we make a park or something there at this point, but I do think there's potential value of retaining that. The thought came to my mind, if there was an emergency on the rail system, I have the opportunity to take part in a training at the county level for the National Emergency Management System, incident management, and you have to have access points if there is a rail accident for incident command to set up and to interact there. So I do find this, as was mentioned, there may be a number of pockets around the city where there are unused right-of-ways. This one seems a little unique to me, and I am hesitant to turn it over to private property. That's just how I've looked at it. And again, it was partly looking a little bit at the adjacent property and thinking of that potential maybe far in the future use, but perhaps there is something that could be used.
I echo those same comments, Councilmember Knutson. I too was thinking about the bike path and know that there's a lot of work happening on, the railroads, and thinking that maybe this would be a short-sighted decision to make, and about our responsibility of protecting current residents and making sure that we're protecting what we can for future. And to me, additionally, we have a huge part of the neighborhood that is not in favor of that. So that to me says that is not in public interest. And so therefore, actually before I make a motion, I did want to clarify one thing. There was some discussion about boulevard trees. This year, we are in the process of finishing up taking down the emerald ashes that are dead or are nearing their death. And there is a plan in the future to do some replanting. That replanting will happen very mindfully, about where we won't run into issues of popping sidewalks and those types of things. There is an amazing committee here called Urban Forestry, and so I encourage folks to go back and watch the last meeting that would go into more details about that, but planting trees is definitely on the agenda for the future. So rest assured that. Therefore, I move to dismiss Resolution 01-25.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to not approve.
I have a question. So if this land were vacated, I mean, you said there's a picture right now of a car turning around down there. So clearly that's happening now when the land hasn't been vacated. Am I correct in that? Mm-hmm. So vacating this land would mean more cars would turn around? I didn't understand the turnaround of the car part.
You turn around in front of the wall, otherwise you turn down each way and turn around.
So if the wall were missing, then more people would turn around or wouldn't turn around?
I think that is why that resident was asking that we consider putting a different sign there, saying dead end might be a better option.
Okay, I thought that was one of the reasons why they wanted to not have this land vacated, because it would increase turning around.
It appears the turnaround will be the turnaround regardless of whether
okay.
the vacation is approved or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here 54 years, so God bless the people that have bought the houses that are on 3rd Street. But I'll tell you what, that wall is something that should probably be there until something happens. I think it's a safety issue there. But you know what, we're not gonna use that land. And I'll bet you for 54 more years, the train track and whatever else is gonna be there. You know, a similar thing came to the council a while back on 1st Street. And I happen to know some of the homeowners that were down there as well. The general public were using the city land down there. Well, no, the people on 3rd Street and 5th Street and 12th Street said, no, you can't, that's for the whole city to use. Well, then why are we gonna pull people's rights from, if they wanna buy it, we're not gonna use it, why would we go a different way, I guess? I don't know. Safety is obviously the paramount to me. And I don't think that this is going to be, I'm not gonna support your dismissal of it. The city staff has done their work on this to vacate it. It's a nice couple. I think that they probably do a great job down there. I want the wall in it. It's in the resolution. And we could certainly change the signs if that's something else. The whole tree thing's a different issue.
Right.
But I'm not supporting it. I think this is a fair document. You know, not in my backyard, we get that. But I'm not supporting the dismissal.
Okay. Anybody else? You know, I've got to say, this is probably the most difficult property rights call we've had here.
In a
I can
while,
remember. And I personally, I had no idea. I mean, most of the time, these are uncontested, like we saw earlier tonight, right? We clearly have an issue of usage of public land, and the majority of the folks, how many people are actually utilizing the land. I understand your position that, you know, and especially in Sarah's, that the land could be used in the future, perhaps depending upon what the railroad does. I don't think they're gonna cede that land anytime soon. They have other vacated land that we are disputing right now that they haven't ceded to anybody. And so I wouldn't hang my hat too much on trying to determine what the railroad might do sometime in the future, short-term or long-term. But it seems to me, and I normally would come down on the side of the property rights for the people that, you know, are petitioning. But I think that there's been a very compelling case here tonight about the majority of the people that are actually using city land, right? I mean, it's city land. And they've found a purpose to use it. Like I say, this is a very difficult decision, but I can say if it comes down to my vote, I'm going to be voting with the motion. Anybody else? All right, so we have a motion. Everybody understand what it is? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Approve the meeting minutes from the February 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting. Approve claims in the amount of $14,872,711. Approve Hometown Music Fest. Approve the annual Coco's Heart 5K Doggy Day. Approve the Valleywide Pride event. Approve the facility K-9 for the police department. Approve the memorial application from Don and Janice Buckholz. Approve the final plans for the public work facility renovations at 2101 O'Neill Road, Hudson Public Works. Approve the purchase of portable radio from the Fire Department Rescue Reserve account. Approve the purchase of mobile radios for current projects. And we moved resolution down to new business. And then the fireworks were removed, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve. Roll call.
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Ruck?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Consent agenda is approved, or consent calendar is approved. Agenda, I guess, depending upon semantics. With the exception of item K, and we will take that up now. So, Resolution 6-25, amending the 2025 budget for the letter of engagement with SEH Inc. to assist with the raised planning grant application.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As was brought forth to the Finance Committee on January 21st, this body expressed a desire for the contract with SEH to assist in the RISE grant planning application, for the funding for that to come out of the general fund reserves or general fund balance, all synonyms for each other. Per Wisconsin state statute, a 2/3 vote needs to come before the council to have that budget adjustment go forward, and then a class 1 notice needs to go to the paper. A couple of items Councilmember Morissette had brought up earlier were anytime we are going to be increasing or decreasing the planned expenditures out of the general fund, we do need to be bringing a budget amendment forward. The exception to this would be if we have a situation where we say, all right, we want to take $18,200 and spend it on this and then take away a different portion of the budget. Or if we were going to fund it through a different public, say not send, I'm not suggesting this, not send public work staff to a different training and use that money to fund this. However, anytime we're going to be pulling out of that reserve fund and in doing an additional expenditure, we do need to do a budget adjustment. So what's before you tonight is pulling $18,200 out of the general fund reserves and adding that to the Public Works Engineering Services budget. That's all I have for a presentation. Staff
Everybody understands it.
All right.
I think everybody understands it. All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve Resolution 6-25.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This takes a 2/3 vote. That's why it got pulled from the consent calendar agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Sam. Good job. All right, discussion possible action on ordinance 2-25, chapter 100, voting regulations of the City of Hudson Municipal Code. Chief.
Good evening. Simply put, we'd like to adopt the voting regulations from state statute into local ordinance so that we can do more enforcement out on the river and hopefully get some DNR funds because of it.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules. Roll call.
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Ruck?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion's approved, rules are suspended.
Move to adopt ordinance 2-25.
Second.
Motion is second to adopt 2-25. Discussion? Nobody?
I'm pretty sure we all know where it's come from, but.
Yeah, so I just want to update everybody here. I think it's an opportunity to do this. We've got that boat that's sitting out on the island that has garnered a lot of attention, not just here, but in Twin Cities media, as well as media down in Madison, Milwaukee, and probably other places throughout the state and on Facebook at a number of sites dedicated to the St. Croix River and the St. Croix, Mississippi Valley. We are right now in the process of introducing legislation in Wisconsin that would criminalize the act of abandoning boats or other property out on the river for other people to come and clean up. And the legislation, the way it reads right now, would also remove people's privileges for any type of recreational activity in the state of Wisconsin, which would include hunting licenses, fishing licenses, registrations of recreational vehicles, ATVs, four-wheelers, snowmobiles, jet skis, etc., until they remove and or pay for the removal of those abandoned vehicles and do any type of reimbursement for, like, in an impoundment lot or something like that. It would be, the way the legislation is drafted right now and will be introduced, it would also it would be a Class A misdemeanor, which would also allow for, I believe, a $10,000 fine and perhaps up to 6 months imprisonment, depending upon how egregious the action is. This one out here is fairly egregious because we don't even know how much gasoline and oil was in that boat that was intentionally left there and intentionally polluted our river, our environment. Interestingly, while this was going on, Senator Judy Seeberger from Afton in Minnesota picked up on this as well and wants to do similar legislation in the Minnesota legislature, and she is drafting legislation right now to do the same, so that we would have some type of cooperation and reciprocity with each state, because we know, as in this example, the owner of the boat actually lives in Minnesota and beyond our reach, okay? So if both...
Former owner.
Pardon me?
Former owner.
Former owner, yeah. In this instance, with cooperation, we would be able to enforce each other's legislation across state borders. Interestingly, legislation is being introduced by Representative Shannon Zimmerman, who is Republican, and Senator Seeberger is a Democrat. So not only are we working across borders, we're also working across the aisle. I think that's important to note. Everybody's coming together to work for what's best for our environment and best for our river and our valley. So that's the update.
How far in the process is this at the state of Wisconsin anyways?
The legislation should be introduced probably this week. Okay, we've had drafts that we've gone back and forth on a couple different drafts that they've sent to us. And I believe that we have it the way we want it right now. And so I expect it will be introduced this week.
So then we would amend this ordinance here then?
No, I don't think this ordinance would need to be amended. This is something not completely different, but it's just another tool, right?
Correct. What these ordinances do, and a little bit of background if you haven't seen it, is we applied for a grant through the DNR to be able to spend some more time on the river doing enforcement activities. Maybe we can prevent some of these things before they become an issue. In order to effectively do those enforcement activities, instead of giving all the money and revenue to the state, we adopted an ordinance, then the money comes to the city.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Discussion and possible action on ordinance 7-25, amending chapter 212, streets and sidewalks to include sprinkler and irrigation system language.
All right, so Michael Mraz, Director of Public Works. In front of you tonight is a decision for the council to amend our chapter 212, streets and sidewalks, specifically encroachments. The purpose of the amendment is to include encroachments in the right-of-way, specifically for irrigation systems. Since I've been here, any project that we've done, street reconstruction project, we've always dealt with irrigation systems, private irrigation systems in the right-of-way. Who pays for if they're damaged, that type of thing. So what this ordinance update does is it basically puts the onus of the irrigation system that's placed in the public right-of-way on the adjacent property owner. So if something were to be damaged during construction, if they need to be removed before construction and replaced after construction, it's the responsibility of the homeowner. So we did have a discussion at Public Works Committee as far as, there are other options, right? The city could take over that responsibility, put it on the property owner, do a split, so on and so forth. And we kind of landed on this as kind of the best way to move forward as a city. So discussed at Public Works Committee, came out unanimously, and the red line is in your packet. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have a motion?
Move to approve?
No, it's
Or
an
do we need
ordinance.
to suspend?
Suspend the rules.
See, Randy, I gotta ask you first. I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules. Roll call.
Morissette,
Yes.
Wakefield,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Rules are suspended.
Move to approve ordinance 7-25 to amend chapter 212 of the City of Hudson Municipal Code.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor? Or, I'm
Aye.
sorry, discussion? Anybody? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Approved plans for the 2025 O'Neill Road Improvements Project and authorize ad for bid.
All right, so we're finally at a point. The engineering department has finalized their plans and specifications for O'Neill Road that were identified in the CIP. This was presented to Public Works Committee, unanimously approved. So the basic premise of the project is to do a surface reconstruction of O'Neill Road from Hanley to Tower. Surface reconstruction includes the asphalt, the curb and gutter. There is some driveway apron work to bring it up to code for commercial concrete aprons. But the other big thing that I want to note is the project does include the installation of an 8-foot wide trail on the west side of the road that stretches all the way from Hanley to Tower. This was put in place or discussed at Public Works Committee based on some of the future planning of the city towards the south edge of our border, incorporating that trail system in to get residents or commercial property owners or workers out in the field to White Camp Park in a safe way. In fact, when Maverick, our engineering tech, was out in the field doing a lot of survey work, he was surprised at the amount of people that walk around the industrial park for lunch breaks and breaks, so on and so forth, and it would just give safe access to those individuals and then obviously plan for future expansion. There are a couple other, minor stormwater, rings, manhole adjustments, structure repairs, but a majority of it's going to be just the surface reconstruction. So with that being said, we would go out, if this is approved tonight, be published 2-week notice, our Class 2 notice, and then receive bids and bring these bids back to Finance and Common Council in April, first meeting in April for approval.
Is this a conservative bid, or are we gonna get a surprise in the mail?
No, no. I hope, well, not, but yeah, I shouldn't say that. You never know, Randy, right? You never know. Yeah. But our engineering department has looked at other projects that have been opened up here recently and have adjusted their estimates based on the numbers that surrounding projects have been getting. So this is their best estimate. Yeah.
And that's asphalt, right?
Asphalt, yep. I believe, I should have looked at spec, and this is why Aaron should be here tonight. I don't think they talked about doing an alternate for concrete, but the price just wasn't, we didn't have the budget to do it, so it was asphalt, yeah.
I'll move we approve because this is a bad road.
Yeah.
Second. Got a motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Great.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, department reports, public utilities. Hey, Kip?
Good evening, everybody. Kip Peters, Utility Director. Just some highlights on what's been happening. The Service Center utility, the building addition. The Utility Commission did discuss that on February 11th and recommended moving to 100% plan set, advertising for bids, and made some decision on alternates. The EV charging stations were eliminated from the project. Solar panels were eliminated. Some of the alternates, so we are going to be re-roofing the existing building, replacing the existing HVAC, replace the existing lighting. Cost estimates are coming in about $4.8 million. With contingencies and everything, we're about 4.9, and then with the alternates added, we are looking about 5.3 million right now is where we're at. This is before bid. The schedule for this Plan Commission review, March 4th tomorrow. Hopefully we get a final review on that. PUC review March 11th if necessary. We'll bid the project the end of March. PUC will be reviewing the bids on April 8th. City Council review and approval April 21st, and then start construction as soon as we can after that. Deer Path Water Tower conditioning, the Utility Commission accepted the bid of Viking Industrial Painting in the amount of $636,800 plus 3 alternates for a total project of $702,700. That's supposed to start April of this year with a completion in August. And our Well 9 rehabilitation project, they accepted the proposal municipal well and pump. The project actually started today. So that is with a completion date of April 30th. So that's my report. questions.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Thanks, Kip.
All right.
Public Works.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this brief. Okay, so just couple quick things to highlight in the packet. We took ownership or delivery of our new sweeper, which is great because I was planning on it not arriving for a year, but apparently we got a single steer, and those are more available than the dual steer. So we got a call like six weeks after you approved it, and you're like, we have one ready. It's like, perfect. So we got it in time for this upcoming sweeping season. During this month of March, myself and the stormwater utility coordinator will be spending time on putting together our annual report for our MS4 permit. So it's due on the 31st. We'll be spending 3 or 4 days going through, getting all the documents to the DNR, which means in April, you get to see me up here giving a presentation on our stormwater. So can't wait for that one. The parks, obviously, a couple of things to highlight. One, have some questions on the splash pad. So the intent is the company doing the installation is going to pull the proper permitting for that installation. So once they do that, they are a go. And the plan is we have all the equipment on hand. We have the underground storage tank on hand. So it's basically, once they get the proper permitting and the ground thaws, they can get to work on it. So the idea is to start here later this spring, have kind of a summer construction, and depending upon how well construction goes and weather, so on and so forth, if we can get it open in August and have it open for a month, that would be ideal. But at the very least, we'll get it in this year, and it'll be up and running for the following year. So, and then just one quick thing on the trees. I know it was discussed, and you did a great job, Sarah, of kind of updating. So at Urban Forestry, we did kind of do an update on EAB, and I'll give it to you here too. So this last bond cycle Common Council approved $250,000 to go towards removals. That money is going towards to bring in a contractor to handle those trees that are larger than what our staff can handle. So we're down to approximately 300 trees to go. Okay, so I'm thinking by the end of the summer we should have a majority of the dead and dying ash trees down. Our seasonal staff and full-time staff will start stump grinding and restoration work throughout the summer and through the fall. Between EAB and the storms, we're probably looking 800 to 1,000 stumps that we have to restore throughout the community. So it'll be a process. We may look at bringing some contractors on board to maybe supplement depending on how fast we want to go. Once we get through that process, then we'll start and kind of turn our ears towards replanting. And so this summer, our lead forester is going to put together some planting plans, kind of hit zones where we're going to replant, and then starting in 2026, we'll look to start a replanting program and try to be aggressive with replanting the boulevards for all the trees that we lost due to the storms and EAB. So it's on the horizon. Obviously, I've told people if you can't wait that long, they can always fill out an application and plant a tree themselves. There's a right-of-way application online. Fill it out, turn it into my office, I review it, and then they're able to go ahead and plant a tree. And obviously, I review like the species, if it's over utility line, how close it is to a curb stop or curb stand, and so on and so forth. So people can't wait. There's that option. So that's it. Talk to now. Oh, yeah, you might have questions. Any questions? Sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will, okay, so it's in the right of way, but, it's associated with the home. Will the homeowner will there be a mechanism so that the homeowner could request a certain type of tree to be put in?
I don't think I want to open up that can of worms.
I get that, but we've gotten some.
Yeah, they're going to be more upper story canopy trees, such as oaks or elms or Kentucky coffee trees, trying to get away from your crab apples and things that are low in nature because it just interferes with the equipment in the future. So it'll be more of like 3rd Street where you got the upper canopy, 40 years down the road. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can understand, if we give too many options, then it's just each resident has a different idea of what they want, and then it's availability and cost, and it's just like. Yeah.
So if they really have an opinion, they should fill out an application and do it themselves.
If they plant their own tree, I'm absolutely more than willing to work with them and give them various options. So there is that as well. If they do want a certain species, have them fill out the application, send it to me. I can review it and have that discussion with them. If that one doesn't work, we can find one similar.
Okay. So they'd end up having to pay for the tree, but.
Yep, if they want to go out
And do the planting.
before us, yep, they would be accrue that cost.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Good, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Mike?
Well, I want a Kentucky coffee tree. First, we did, actually Becky did, print off our news release from today, talking about our short-term rental open house, which will be held on Tuesday, March 18th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the fire hall. Obviously, that's been a topic of a lot of discussion, and over the past couple weeks or since the last meeting, we've gotten together and kind of identified, a timeline to work through so that we can certainly have something ready for the council by that first meeting in May. So I encourage everybody to attend. We'll post it so that there's not any quorum issues if all or the majority of you decide to attend. So again, that's Tuesday the 14th, or the 18th, I'm sorry, at the fire station up on Ward Avenue. In our update, obviously, we've been busy with the processes of...
Mike, can I ask you a question before I go on? So was this, can people find it in the newspaper as well as on the website?
Yes, this also went to the newspaper. I think
Okay.
that's a great question. Went to the newspaper, and it was also put out as a news flash on our website
Just like, I looked earlier and I
today.
hadn't seen
No,
it.
I
Okay.
mistake that one from one that Kip
Okay.
had go out
Okay,
earlier
perfect.
this week or last week. So it's all out there. Hopefully people can attend. Obviously, we've been busy with right-of-way discontinuance requests, which randomly, like I said, I think it's probably the 5th or 6th one I've done in 8 years. So that's been busy. We're working still through kind of the most recent annexations and development proposals for both Windmill Hollow off of Tower Road as well as the old 35 parking ride. So there's been neighborhood meetings and things going on both of those. So look for those projects to continue moving forward. We've been working closely with the PD and their architectural group, as well as Public Works and their architectural group, as well as KIP's group. I mean, we've got a lot of public facility projects ongoing right now, so reviewing those and commenting on those. Faith Community Church. There's just a number of projects that continue. It's never a dull moment in community development. Building inspections have been busy. I know David spoke at the last meeting. Engineering's been busy working with ISG to kind of start working on the engagement process for what Locust Street will look like when we reconstruct that. Again, they did the civil plans for the new PD building. It was a limited enough scope that they were able to take that on, save the city some dollars instead of having an outside firm do that. There's always a special assessment process that's involved. I know Aaron spends a lot of time working on that every year. And then GIS is obviously supporting utilities and public works and other community development staff with all of our ongoing mapping needs. And then, yeah, any questions?
Anybody?
I have a question about the work that's being done with Cedar Corporation.
Yeah.
Is there,
Which
well,
project?
the ongoing update of our zoning code?
Okay, yep.
Is there, I mean, are we at a sort of a?
We're making progress,
Okay.
waddling through it.
Lots to,
I
lot of details.
knew when that RFP came in and they were like, well, you can probably do it in a year. I'm like, no, this is going to be at least 2. It's a heavy lift. And the more you dig into it, the more things you find that are either conflicting or wildly outdated and need to be, looked at. And just today, working with Chief Spielman, we've got some discrepancy in their state code versus our zoning code for drive aisle widths. So they can fit the aerial trucks or their apparatus, down a fire lane, right? So these things just come up frequently, you know, it's a big one.
Working on it then. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Shelley?
Good evening. So in addition to what I have for you in the packet, we did just submit our annual report to the state. So just a couple of tidbits from that. We added a little over 6,000 items to the collection in 2024. Books, movies, audio, and non-traditional collection items. And that collection, in fact, has grown quite a bit. We have some really cool things people probably don't know you can get at the library, like a metal detector, American Girl dolls, Nordic bakeware, art kits, and things like that. And those are all funded with grants from the Hudson Area Library Foundation. Of our materials checked out, the physical items, more than half are kids' items, which is never surprising to us since adults come and get 2 novels and a kid will leave with a book of 25 picture books or a bag with 25 picture books. So that is what we typically see year to year. We also wrapped up our annual campaign with the Hudson Area Library Foundation. Most of you, I think, know that donors pay for all of our programs and most of our special projects, special collections, and some of our technology. And this year, the foundation raised just over $100,000. So that's an incredible feat, and we're very grateful for their work and all that they provide, all the great extras for our community. And I think those are the highlights. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take those. Yes.
I have a question. I have the impression, so I'd like to have you correct me.
Sure.
Is it true that the foundation or those privately raised funds cannot be used for your main collection? Is
No.
that why you direct them to the programming? Is there some state statute about that?
No, we can use those in any way we choose. Historically, because we are a big programming library, we use most of that for programs, but we have supplemented our book collection with those funds and done special collections. For example, this year we had a focus on phonics and putting together phonics kits, sort of the swing we see in whole language or phonics. It's kind of swinging back to phonics a little bit, only now we call it decoding. So those are some of the collection dollars that we spend that come from the foundation.
Sure. Yeah, it's great support.
Yeah, it's wonderful. They've done we're very grateful to the people in the community who continue to give money to our foundation. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have anything. Anybody?
I'm wondering if we can, at our next meeting, get a better understanding of what our requirements are with the Croyview apartments. So what are our responsibilities and those types of things. I know I mentioned this to Brent earlier too, so this is not a surprise, but.
Good call, yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, Brent and I talked about, there's the parking lot, well, the road to the parking lot to Target between Walgreens, and they've got potholes that are just awful.
Keep coming back.
And they have not filled them, and Brent looked into it and found that the city doesn't have any ordinance on that.
It's a private drive, essentially.
But it is open to the public, so like a sidewalk, I mean, sidewalks, we have a responsibility to make sure that they get shoveled. So is there a discussion that we can have to, well, maybe that's something that Nick needs to give us some advice on.
We can talk more about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion, second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Good to see you, Mike.